With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3. And our third main topic today gets submitted to us by Geeky Gator, who writes, "Hey, John and gang. Vin Diesel was recently talking about the future of the Fast and Furious franchise through spin-offs and seemed to suggest that Fast 10 could be split into 2 parts. What would be the point of that? Shouldn't they just call it Fast 10 and Fast 11? Thank you, Geeky Gator, because I am so over this idiotic thing of saying, oh, we're going to split the next one into 2. No, you're just doing 2 more. Yeah, but we're splitting it into 2. No, you're just doing 2 more. Unless you have a book that you're naming the movie after and you want to break that one book into 2 parts, then you're splitting it into 2. You're talking about doing Fast 10 and Fast 11. Here's the comment that Vin made that everybody's talking about. This comes from Vin Diesel, who I love, who wrote, I started planning for Fast 10 before we started filming Fast 9. Very much so. The universe is so robust and so rich with talent and rich with story that, on one level, it's totally feasible to have spin-offs, and I think that's something that is inevitable. Well, newsflash, Vin. You're already doing it. It was called Hobbs and Shaw. Made over $700 million. You should look into that. And I think that's something that's inevitable. Universal deserves it because of how much they've invested in this little saga, and it'd be good to give back to Universal. And for the fans, that's a great attitude for a producer to have. And for the fans, should Fast 10 parts 1 and 2 be the conclusion, it would be nice for this world to continue for generations to come. I know it is just semantics. I know it's just semantics, but it bugs the fuck out of me when I hear, and it's just a little semantic thing. It should not bother me, but when we hear people totally misuse it, you're not splitting the next one into 2. I know, here's the thing. This is what the reality here is. Vin Diesel said a while ago that he thinks he's going to end, this was like back around when 7 was coming out. He said that he thinks he was going to end Fast and Furious at 10. And it feels like, well, I don't want to just do 10. I want to do a couple more. But I said it'd be 10. Okay, so we'll say we're splitting 10 into 2 parts. 10A and 10B. I know it's just semantics. I know it shouldn't bother me, but it really does bother me, even though it's totally ridiculous for me to be agitated by it. But Vin, listen, you were planning it. You realize what you planned is really 2 movies. So just call it Fast 10 and Fast 11. Get off this whole stupid thing about freaking splitting it up. And by the way, there's no way. If Fast 10 comes out, let me rephrase. When Fast 11 comes out, and that movie makes $835 million at the box office, Vin ain't stopping at 11, whether he calls it 11 or 10B. He's not stopping. Remember, he tried to go away. Here's the thing. Vin Diesel tried to go away from the Fast and Furious franchise before. And it didn't work out as great as he had kind of hoped. So he came back to Fast and the Furious. When was that? Yes, remember he left after the first one. So he wasn't in 2 and he just
didn't leave.
Well,
no, they were like, oh, okay, yeah, you want more money and you want a producer credit. That was the thing. He said, hey, I was the star of this movie and it did really, really well. I want the rights to one of the video games. He wanted the rights to a project that he wanted to base a video game off of, and he wanted to buy it from them. And they were like, "No, we're not going to sell it to you." And he also wanted a producer credit, and they were like, "No, we're not going to give you a producer credit." So then they did the second one without him, and they were like, "Oh, this did not turn out how well we wanted."
Well, then they did a third without him.
He did not. That was not.
He could have been in it if he wanted to, but the problem was then he left. He did a bunch of things that didn't work out nearly as well. And
Daddy Daycare was a big hit.
And then
hit.
He came back. He did what Sylvester Stallone did, right? Stallone went away from Rocky and went away from Rambo for a bunch of years because he didn't want to just be known for that. But then he realized, man, people love me as Rocky and Rambo. Why not go back and do that and make lots of money, make millions of people happy? And so he went back to it and had a big resurgence. He went back to Fast and Furious, big resurgence. He's got Bloodshot coming out. And this is hard for me to say because I'm not being facetious when I say I'm a big Vin Diesel. I love Vin Diesel.
Oh, we know.
I love this dude. Bloodshot is not going to be a big hit.
But it's going to be cool.
I hope it's going to be really cool.
So excited.
But it's not going to be a big hit. And I think when he does 10B or 11 and it makes $800+ million, There is no way that, number one, Universal doesn't completely want him back to do more, but there is no way that he himself doesn't come back and do more. Maybe he takes 2 or 3 years off to try some other things, and when none of them come close to the level of love and glory and anticipation that his Fast and Furious franchise does, he's going to pull Sylvester Stallone again and come back to that, where that he loves doing it and everybody loves him in it. So I just don't see any reality where 11 is actually the last. I mean, unless 10 comes out and makes 500 million, and then, or I should say 9 comes out and makes 500 million. It won't. But I'm just saying, if it came out and made like 500 million, and then 10 came out and made like 490, okay, maybe then they don't plan for 12 and 13, but that's not going to happen. We're going to see more beyond this, and we're going to see spinoffs. They just did one with The Rock, made over $700 million without any of the other main characters of the Fast and Furious franchise, and they made over $700 million. This is just a franchise right now that is maybe not firing on all cylinders like it was around Fast 7, but it's certainly revving its engine, no pun intended, really strong. So I don't know. Anyway, Chris, you hear Vin Diesel saying, yeah, we're going to do Fast 10 Part 1 and 2. I don't know. What are the things that come to your mind?
I mean, is it too fast and too furious for one movie, Vin? Is that why? I think this is so dumb. Yeah, just make it 2 movies. I'm so glad you brought up Rocky, because the franchise feels like that Spaceballs Rocky joke at this point of Rocky 5000. They're just gonna keep making them, and that's fine. Just lean into it. I think the Part 1, Part 2 thing is kind of nonsense. Just treat it like other movies. They're sequels. They're continuations of your story. Have a big cliffhanger. Make us come to that next film. But it doesn't need to be Part 2. That's just dumb.
Like, again, if there was a novel out called Fast and the Furious 10,
yes,
and they decided that's too much story in that novel to do one, we're going to break it into 2 parts, but
like
they're both
with
based
Harry
on the
Potter or with
Hunger
Hunger
Games.
Can someone
Games.
please do a novelization of the Fast and Furious franchise? I want some romance novels. I want some like Harlequin covers
fan
of Vin
fiction.
being like holding a wrench and being like, let's do this. Get me a can of Nas. Like, I want
Vin Diesel with long flowing locks, like holding a Michelle Rodriguez in a dress that's barely hanging on.
Oh my gosh, internet, make it so.
Aaron, what do you think about this?
Well, just to close up that loop, by the way, Universal did turn around and go, okay, Vin, we realize that we cannot live without you, and you totally know what you're talking about, and you 100% do deserve those producer credits. Oh, and by the way, you don't have to buy the rights to that property. We're just going to give them to you. And then he went off and did beautiful, successful things in the video game world. So good for you, Vin. Clearly, the man knows what he's talking about when it comes to business. And I love the idea of a Part 1 and Part 2. I know that I'm in the minority here, but here is why. Kill Bill 1 and 2. You know, it could have been Kill Bill, like they were made to be 2 parts of each other. And the difference between parts and sequels is that it's not just having a cliffhanger. It's that they are made to be seen together in a similar way as a television show would be. You know, you're not going to watch Game of Thrones without seeing the Red Wedding episode. It's integral. It is integral to the fabric of the story. So just like Fast and the Furious 10 parts A and B, it will be circular. You can have double feature screenings where you literally, I can go and see Fast 7, for example, and I don't have to watch all of the rest of the movies to understand what's going on. Now, granted, I understand that it's not necessarily like super deep stuff we're talking about here. You know, there's not a ton of subtext, but I can watch it as a standalone film. It is made to be. It is made to be. Oh, is she licking your feet again?
Licking my feet again.
What do you put on your toes, John?
The dog is licking his feet.
Yes,
Anne, get in here and lick John's toes because my dog is doing it. Anne. I'm just.
Oh, Joey.
I don't even know if you guys are.
Joey loves me. Anyway,
I mean, she doesn't lick my toes.
I'm just saying. Okay. Anyway, sorry.
Boundaries with her mom.
It is
but it's tickling me.
hashtag toe licking Thursday. Clearly.
Oh, I don't want to be on that one.
Sorry to interrupt,
Chris. But have you had it done? Because I'm just saying. Oh, sorry. Having some flashbacks here.
Sorry, we all lost our train of thought. Sorry. I don't know. I was trying to hold it in, but it was just tickling too much.
Anyway, I like the idea of these two films being woven together, not necessarily because they shot too much and they're like, oh crap, we need to make part 1 and 2, but that, I mean, he's saying that he's been thinking about this since they were doing 9. He's thinking about how these two things are interwoven to where they belong together and are meant to be screened together, are meant to be seen together, are meant to be back to back, so that there is not just a cliffhanger, type of anticipation, but they really are two parts of a whole versus just a continuation of a saga. And I like what he's setting us up for. Hey guys, I know that the Fast and the Furious franchise does not want to end, and you guys want to keep seeing it, but Vin Diesel, am ready to pass the torch. We're not going to end it. We're going to keep with the spin-offs and blah, blah, blah. And I'll keep, getting my paychecks as a producer and I'll have my fingers in it. But I'm, as a creative being, ready to go do something else. And by the way, I know people online like to give me some flack for constantly trying to get a job, but I'm an actor. I'm a hustler. It's what we have to do. Hey, Vin, remember when we did the ropes together? I would love, remember when we talked about, hey, like me being involved in other projects? Those
here's
two
the big
fast
difference.
projects I would like to, I can drive cars.
The big difference between, though, this situation and, say, Kill Bill was that, like Hunger Games, like Harry Potter, Quentin Tarantino shot Kill Bill as one movie. It was meant to be a movie. Mm-hmm. And then he was later told to split it into 2. So that, I understand calling it part 1, part 2, splitting into 2, because like there being an existing book, there was an existing movie that was shot as one movie. It was intended to be one movie and then split up. So I don't know. Again, though, I fully admit the ridiculousness of me getting this wound up about something that is nothing but semantics. I fully admit it. It totally is. And I don't know why it bothers me so much. Question here is, guys, what do you think about this whole thing about maybe there being 2 more Fast and Furious, Fast 10 and Fast 11? And yes, I'm going to call it Fast 11 because that's what it would be. But anyway, what do you guys think about that? Jump down to the comment section below and leave us your thoughts. All right.